This week, Michael and I will recap some interviews that we've done with Accenture and talk about some of their influence in the security industry today, very briefly at the beginning of the show. We're also hopefully going to talk about headphones. As we've alluded to in previous shows across the network, I have kind of like this headphone fetish thing going on, which turns out can be a really expensive hobby. And we'll talk about that as it relates to defining your problem statement and go-to-market strategy. In the news, the best way to manage risk, creating defining moments for your customers. Upstream raised $9 million. Shield X, Menlo, Atos, and others, Gemalto, in the news. So stay tuned for all that and more on this edition of Startup Security Weekly. This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show about security startups, how to secure your startup, and advice for security startups. It's Startup Security Weekly.
I need it from the top.
Brought to you by, make sure your team is prepared to fight off the latest cybersecurity threat. IT Pro TV is the resource to keep you and your IT team skills up to date. You can stream IT Pro TV's courses live and on demand worldwide, so there's no need to send staff to off-site training. Their team solution provides access to a supervisor portal for full control over your team's training schedule and group analytics. Go to itpro.tv/startup security and use the code SS30 to try it free for 7 days and receive 30% off your monthly membership for the lifetime of your active subscription. To learn more about IT Pro TV's team solution, sign up for a free demo of their supervisor portal. Are you looking for a career where you can make a real difference? Accenture Security is looking for passionate, creative minds to tackle some of the biggest security threats facing us today. Innovative thinkers who want to outmaneuver cybercriminals. They're hiring specialists across the spectrum, from security strategy to cyber defense, digital identity, and application security, helping to deliver holistic solutions. If you want to use next-generation technologies and global resources to change the future of security, visit accenture.com/security careers. Welcome, everyone, to Startup Security Weekly. This is episode 66 for December 15th, 2017. I am your host, Paul Asadorian. Actually, the real host of the show is on the lines via Skype, and that's Michael Santarcangelo, the sand hobo himself. Michael is the mastermind behind the show. I just try and show up and look pretty and occasionally say smart things. So, Michael, welcome. I think historically, the reasoning behind that is that over the past 13 years, Skype has not been the most reliable technology. So whoever was in studio kind of took care of reading everything for the recording, just in case you were reading it and like Skype happens to mess up or something, that we wouldn't have to go back and re-record it. So when Michael's here in studio, I have him do that. And Skype has gotten better. So maybe in 2018, that's one of the changes we make is Michael does the introduction to the show, because damn it, we got more shows coming that I might have to do the introduction to, and I don't know. I like to share the love. So, Michael, welcome today.
Oh, it's always good to be here. And it's funny that you're talking about that. I've actually started to figure out, like, how can I set this up as a remote studio? Like, is it Skype? Is there something I can invest in?
Like a really
we're
long
gonna take
cable.
a look at the lighting. Yeah. Hey, if they can run one across the ocean, we can probably run
well, you
one
can.
down from
What was
Rhode
the
Island,
It's gonna be people screaming at me. What was the point-to-point technology that radio stations use? It's almost like a direct DSL line. What was it called?
It was
ISDN. Thank you. Yeah.
And then you could have the dual channel ISDN stuff.
Yeah. So we could just set up a direct ISDN line to you, Michael.
There you go.
So if you're interviewing a candidate and you're asking that candidate, how in the world do you keep up with all of these things in security? If they say, I have an itpro.tv subscription, you should hire that person immediately on the spot, because itpro.tv is awesome. And if you're an employer and you want to hire people and then you want to have them acquire skills, you can buy a supervisor portal subscription. So as new employees come on board, you can say, hey, every employee that comes on board for this role has to take these training modules, and you can track their progress through the system, which is great. Because what is the old adage? What if we don't train our employees? Or what if we train our employees?
People say what, and they leave.
And they leave.
And the flip is, what if you don't and they stay?
And they stay. So you should always train your employees, and you can do that so easily with IT Pro TV. IT Pro TV /startup security. There is a discount code for the individual subscription, SS30. Try it free for 7 days. Get 30% off your monthly subscription. Alrighty, Michael. Now, what do we have?
Gosh, what are we up to? Show 66.
It's awesome.
So it's, it's been fun, man. I've learned a lot in the process. And I'm excited about the changes. I'm excited about the new shows. I'm excited about some of the other things that we haven't really told people about, but that we've alluded to. But, behind the scenes, we've been busy.
Yes, very busy month.
I'm pretty jazzed up. So it's exciting.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good year in 2018.
There's a lot of changes coming to the network, but nothing that's deviating from our mission to providing the security community with fantastic free content, obviously.
No, I think it's getting better. Like when I look at it, Paul, one of the things you and I stumbled on this year, and a lot of it's the work that we do here, right? What's the problem that you solve? We've talked about the trio of books, Play Bigger, The Brain Audit, Never Split the Difference. And the good news is we've already got planned for one of those three authors to join the program and talk with us next year.
The Brain Audit, right?
Sean's going to join. Yep, The Brain Audit. He's going to join us in February. And we're working on getting Chris Voss on board as well and talking about never splitting the difference, thinking about how to negotiate differently.
Started reading that
fantastic
book. And I'm still in the first chapter, but what I've heard so far has been so just well put together, and
it's told really well. Yeah,
he immediately captures your attention and commands respect.
Yep,
and that's the impression I got just trying to get through chapter 1. I was like, wow, like, dude, I got a lot of respect. I read
his newsletter, and I've watched some of his other stuff out there. He's one of the people, like, to be full disclosure, full candor. I've actually gone and joined up some of the stuff that Sean D'Souza is doing. That's the Brain Audit guy. I bought a bunch of his courses, and it's really helped me rethink the way that I approach stuff, and frankly, the way that we approach stuff on this program and across the network. Chris Voss, I kind of see the same way. And in 2018, I'm hoping to invest in some of his courses and meet him or at least his team and figure those things out. But what's cool about those books then in looking at that is that you and I have done that same thing. And what came out of it was there's an industry and there's a community. And of course, there's a lot of overlap between the two. But you said something a couple weeks ago that's really stayed with me, which is a lot of what the growth of this network has been is just the frustration of us trying to solve problems.
Yeah.
Not getting the information, not getting clarity of information, not really understanding what people are talking about, and not feeling like good things in the community are getting amplified enough. So not only are these changes going to do more of that, I think that it's really helping the team clarify, yeah, that's our goal. It's because I just want to point this out again, and I was just thinking about when we came on board. So we're going to talk about Accenture, and I'm an Accenture alum, so it's kind of fun for me. But then we look at IT Pro TV, and I've been impressed with every aspect of the operation and the interviews. But earlier this week, you and I on a call, and one of the folks that we're talking to says, "Oh yeah, you know what? I hadn't heard of them, but I watched on your program, went, checked it out, loved the quality of it, and now the rest of my organization is evaluating it. We're checking out the supervisor portal. Guys, this was fantastic. I'm really glad that you had talked to them." And I've said this for the last couple of weeks, but I just want to say it again because I think it's really important. What you've done and what you continue to do is you've involved me in some of it. We talk to the partners of the program. So it's not just somebody throws cash at you and you're like, okay, cool. So yeah, we're bringing people free content, and we're also helping them look at what we think are interesting solutions and people solving problems in some pretty cool and novel ways. And as we tighten up some of that next year, I think it's going to get better for everybody. So it's good stuff. It's
what's cool too, and it's not a large percentage of our partners that, and we like to think of them as partners now and not just sponsors, because we're working a lot more closely with folks who are investing in us and in looking to reach our audience with solutions that actually solve problems, right? So Accenture came to us, and they were in kind of that minority that we've done some programs for, and they're like, "Hey, we want people to come work here. We want people in your audience, in your community, smart people to come work with us." And we're like, "Cool." Like, there's usually people looking to make a change or move or get into the field, and are looking for a home. So Accenture signed on as a partner with us to help promote going to work there. And it's funny because Michael used to work there. And we've spoken to two different people who have done sponsored interviews, Lisa O'Connor, who was on Paul Security Weekly, and Tom Parker, who was on Enterprise Security Weekly. And one of the things that struck me, like right off the bat, as I did screening calls with both of these folks and then, performed their interviews, was just how freaking smart both these people are. I was like, wow, like if I were looking to go work somewhere, it would be with really smart people like Lisa and Tom. Like, that's awesome. I'm not the smartest person in the room anymore. This is great. And I think that in and of itself kind of speaks volumes as to the kind of organization that Accenture is, and just one reason why it'd be a great place to work. The topics they talked about are absolutely awesome. Tom talked, I think, a lot about incident response and a little bit about threat modeling, about adversary intelligence, and those types of topics on Enterprise Security Weekly. Michael, you said you went back and listened to a little bit of the Lisa O'Connor interview, which is very different from the Tom Parker interview.
It was different. I was really impressed. And the thing I love, because she brought up artificial intelligence and machine learning, and you're like, but aren't those just words? She's like, yep. So here's how we're using it, and here's where we're using it, and here's when it works and doesn't work. And as soon as somebody talks about supervised versus unsupervised, you're like, okay, so she actually knows what she's talking about.
She was like we say in Rhode Island, Michael. She's wicked smart. Wicked smart.
Oh yeah. And as she kept talking, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Oh no, that's smart. Oh, I like doing it that way. And it was exciting. It was really exciting. And so we talked about me. I was back. You always ask people, like, how did you get your start? Mine was I asked too many questions at the wrong time. I was working. It was still Anderson Consulting at the time, and it was back in the days. Consulting. NT351, I was on a project, and they were like, oh, you actually, here's the whole story, right? You went to Cornell? Great. Well, I got a bunch of guys on a tech team from Cornell. That's great. My degree is not in computer science, computer engineering. My degree is in human ecology and looking at how people impact systems and how to modify systems to impact people, which at the time didn't really have an influence in technology. Now, I totally get where and how it works. But they said, hey, look, you're smart. Or they presumed I was, and the people around here are smart, so good luck. But because I didn't look at it the way everybody else did, I started asking questions, and the question was to the partner, hey, our pricing spreadsheet, yeah, that's on a drive that the client can see. Are they supposed to see that? And it was like a Friday, and he said, nope. So get that fixed by Monday, and I'll see you Monday. And he flew back out to the West Coast. I got it fixed by Monday. And, this is the time that we obviously, it was the late 90s. We had the internet, but we still had Gopher to look stuff up. There's not a lot of details. There weren't. I mean, if you think about how many books we have, Paul, there weren't books and stuff. So I figured it out, learned a lot about Windows, made a lot of mistakes. But the upside was those are the days of batch Windows, so nobody was working on the weekend. I got it fixed. He came in Monday, and he stopped on my desk. He said, "You get it fixed?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, no kidding. Hey, let's go out." Got lobster, got prime rib, had a bottle of wine. I was like, all right, I like this. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was, you ask questions. You're the security guy. And then a couple months later, I got a phone call from a group in Chicago from Accenture, still Anderson Consulting at the time. And they said, hey, we're starting up a security practice, and it sounds like you should be part of it. And I said, I don't know anything about security. And they said, yeah, well, but your actions say differently. Why don't you fly out and talk with us? And we got some cool projects for you. And in reality, a lot of those projects set the stage for a lot of the success that I've enjoyed over the last 20 years. It's awesome. Was a lot of those things, great partners, smart people with good approaches. And so, a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this program, looking at the problems that you solve and the value and the ways that you apply it, definitely, it's something that I don't shy away from. I'm excited that I work there. I have a lot of friends that still work there. Happy for anybody to head that way, and glad that they partnered with us. And I hope that they continue to.
They've been great. Yeah, they've been great to work with. And I hope that if you're interested in finding some new career opportunities, that you look towards Accenture. Our impression of them has been nothing but positive in working with them and speaking with the really smart people that work there. So that's awesome.
All right, but now on that interview with Lisa, you talked about headphones.
We did. Did I mention? We did mention headphones in there, didn't we?
You did. You told her about your affinity for headphones, and you're talking about predictive shopping and how it's okay.
Yes.
Because they said, but hey, you ended up getting a pair of cans that everybody really liked, and it was great, and you wouldn't have seen them any other way, and it was really exciting.
Well, yeah. So those we just found out those won't be here till March 28th, 2018.
Oh.
So we ordered them from a site, and I'll plug the site. This is the first time I've used them. It's called Mass Drop, and I think that the way it works is they go buy like a whole bunch of, or they pre-order like a whole bunch of stuff. And once they get enough people to buy into that order, then they execute on it. And so that's how they're able to get their cost down.
Oh, okay.
And they've got like manufacturers will make special stuff for them. And I think that's the manufacturer saying, well, okay, so we'll make these set of headphones for you. We haven't actually made them yet. But if you get us 1,000 orders, hey, you know what? We'll cut the production run. We'll make the special one for you, and everyone can get it at a great price. So I think that's how it works. So you got to wait, 4 or 5 months. Which is not like we don't have headphones in the studio.
I was going to say, whatever would you do? Well, so what's interesting about that is what I thought was curious was, so you talked about the predictive nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is when Lisa was talking about that, I remember being part of a briefing, more as in I was getting briefed back probably around the time we were changing from Anderson Consulting to Accenture, where we're talking about that very thing and people using mobile to do things like price comparisons. And it's fascinating because the briefing was so powerful, Paul, and so accurate that I still call back on things that I learned then to explain to people when we're out. And when you do that in the retail setting, people are like, how do you know all this? Like, yeah, well, I don't know. I read a lot.
You know what's interesting for me is when I thought about my journey with headphones and in that interaction, it really kind of mirrors and emulates a lot of things that we talk about in the show, about perceived value, about solving a problem. And I think the first thing I realized was I didn't know that I had a problem. I thought that basically headphones were headphones. I didn't realize that, I had problems. And then so when you look at wired versus wireless headphones, I'm like, okay, well, that cable is kind of annoying. And then I noticed like my cables would stop working or come, undone, and the connectors would loosen. And if that was directly connected into my headphone, the headphones were no good. So as you move up, what I realized is you start solving problems for yourself, because higher end headphones have cables that are interchangeable. So if your cable dies, you can just put a new cable on it, which is awesome. The other thing is the wireless headphones got a lot better technology to allow me to communicate. I found that as I was editing audio or listening to audio, I could hear. The more I spent on headphones, the more I could hear and pick up on and be able to replicate inside my headphones. And that had some advantages to help us clean up audio. And then there's the perceived value. I didn't understand, and I started with headphones back when I started the podcast 13 years ago. So I've used every crappy set of headphones, and I kind of, I try and justify the cost of my headphones today based on the fact that I used some of the world's crappiest headphones 13 years ago and have slowly moved up over time. And along that journey have realized the perceived value that, if I go up to this next level, then it changes the way I experience music. And I'm like, wow. So how much can I ratchet that up? And so I get to where the next set that I could buy probably be about $4,000. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if there's a jump from the value I'm getting now.
It might not be a $4,000 problem to solve.
Yeah, 2 or 3 maybe, and I buy used and open box because in this market, which doesn't relate to our market, but in this market, people really take care of their stuff, and you can find deals, and there's a high markup on a lot of this high end audio gear too. So I found a ton of deals to get some of that higher end stuff at a much better price. But the ones that are $4,000 today, they're $4,000, dude. There's no deals. There's no deal. There's no one selling them used. Once people get them, they're like, nope, this is the headphone for me. I'm not selling it. That's it. So there is I
think microphones are the same way, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much. And when you talk to some people, hey, how much would you spend on headphones? I don't know. I go into the CVS or convenience store, and I'm like, yeah, I need a new pair of headphones, and they're just disposable, right? And they haven't taken that journey, which is kind of interesting. So the market for that is, when I look at now this entity that came to us and was advertising headphones, I understand this market now, right? And I've helped some of my friends and family find headphones, and I basically try and figure out what their market fit is. Do you want something you're going to work out in? How much do you care about sound quality? How much do you care about comfort? All those things. And I can basically then ask them their budget and kind of fit them in with what I think is best in the market. We do that today with security all day long, right? It's just we happen to do this now with headphones. And so when this company came to us and said, well, they're marketing the world's coziest hi-fi headphones. Now, comfort is very subjective when it comes to headphones.
Oh yeah, look, I'll tell you right now, I'm an over-the-ear guy, or if I'm in ear, it has to rest in the ear. The way my eardrums work, if it's actually the kind that like isolate out a little bit, or you stick them in the ear and they hold there, they don't work for me. So I also have a bunch of headphones that I've given out to people because they look good, but they just didn't work for me.
So I realized with in-ear that my ear canals are different sizes, and I'll actually use a different size
for
cushion
left and
right? between left and right. And so cozy is
well, yeah.
is
Let me just
interesting.
back up for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was an unsolicited pitch.
It was.
So this came into us,
Mm-hmm.
and we try to deal with the pitches. We also have some user feedback that comes in as well, and we try to answer all those as well.
Yeah.
But unsolicited pitch on headphones. And let me also be fair too. We ignored it the first round, but they were a little persistent. We'll talk about that next.
We got 3 or 4 at least. Yeah, I got a personal email and one to our mailing list as well. And I sent them back some suggestions. So basically, they're saying the world's coziest headphones. Now, when I think of comfort, like I said, doing the podcast has lent itself to me wearing headphones a lot. I wear them when I do the show. I wear them when I edit the show, right? I wear them when I work, when I listen to music. So I have headphones on a lot.
Did that subject line by itself, world's coziest hi-fi headphones, did that capture your attention?
It set me off. Like angry set me off. Because I've worn some of the world's most uncomfortable headphones. And recently, as I've gotten into high-end headphones, I realized what cozy and comfort really means for headphones. These Sennheisers that I have on here now, they're HD1s, or they used to be called Momentums, but they changed it to HD1 for trademark. They sound, for the price and what they sound, you get a lot of value. Comfort, not so much. On set, the reason I wear them, audience, is because I think they look retro and kind of cool. And that's why we wear them on set, right? So that's the...
Well, one of us has to look good on set. And we know it's not
right?
me. So
I mean, that's why I kind of, kept these around and bought these, was essentially like, I thought they would look cool on set. So when we talk about comfort, like when you try on a set of like $1,000 plus headphones, you'll experience what comfort like really is for headphones, So to say that these are the world's coziest, when I know that their price point is around $200, I instantly questioned it. To say that they're hi-fi at $200, now we could spend a lot of time talking about like what you get in the different price ranges for headphones. I'll break it down kind of very generically. There are a lot more categories than this, but basically under $500, they're really high. I mean, they are hi-fi, but you're not getting much of what we call a soundstage. So if you're listening to a rock band kind of music, there's no separation between singer, drummer, bass player, guitar player, right? When you get over $500, it starts to build a soundstage, so you actually feel like you're sitting in a room full of speakers. It's one of the big differences. At about that $300 to $500 mark, right? When you start going above that, you start to get into somewhat of a soundstage. When you go over $1,200, right? You started getting into over like $1,000 for a set of headphones. Typically, you need an amp and special hardware to drive it. But now you're picking up on, like, if I listen to this show and with my really expensive headphones and there's a light that's making a noise, not only I can tell it's a light making a noise, I can tell like whether it's on the left or the right and like what kind of noise it was making at the time. Like the clarity and reproduction is just unbelievable, along with the soundstage. So when we say hi-fi, not only are there different levels, but there's certainly ones that just you would never consider hi-fi. Also take into account, not everyone's going to be able to hear those differences. Like, I'd like experimented. I'm like, okay, can I really hear the difference? Did it increase my perceived value or, my enjoyment? Like, some people just don't have an ear for it. And, maybe you're going to spend a couple $100 on a pair of headphones and those are the ones for you, right? Now, there are some people that are actually slightly hearing impaired that will buy really high-end headphones to be able to hear some of those, every advantage they can get, right? So even your perception of sound is somewhat subjective. So when I read World's Coziest Hi-Fi Headphones, like, I kind of threw up in my mouth a little bit.
You grimaced.
Yeah, I grimaced.
But let me tell you how they opened it, because
this
is where I did a complete eye roll. Now, listen, we always tell everybody, use a story. Open with a story. Connect with somebody based on their problem. Yeah. Well, they opened with a story. Let's see how it goes. picture this: it's 5:30 a.m. You're finishing your last sip of coffee, anticipation of your. All right, they lost me because no, and also no, and also no. As you open the door to the world outside, you're immediately slapped across the face with the brutal reminder that it's winter and cold outside. That's why I live on a beach, folks. Your clothes are going to keep your body warm, but how are you going to listen to your favorite running tracks without suffering the pain of frostbitten ears? We have 2 words for you. Blah, blah, blah. Our product. We created the world's most comfortable hi-fi winter-proof headphones. Given the upcoming cold weather, we felt your readers, which means they don't understand us yet, might be interested in learning more about our product, our crowdfunding campaign, blah, blah, blah. And if you think this is a good fit, yeah, it probably fits about as well as their headphones. So I certainly don't have any of those problems. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, the problem statement is the biggest problem with this pitch. And we've hammered down on this point. And to see someone kind of lose their way in defining the problem is discouraging. I think they should listen to the show and read our book recommendations, because I think even though we don't agree with their problem statement, I think they could have a really good problem statement if they kind of like rethink their go-to-market strategy. The problem is that if I want to be warm and listen to my favorite music, I'm going to get earbuds and I'm going to put a hat or some other kind of winter garment over my ears. And if I want to be wireless, they make wireless in-ears. Actually, and I did some research for a friend, Bose makes probably one of the best in-ear wireless headphones today in terms of both comfort, sound quality, and Bluetooth connectivity, which is important. Believe me, and all Bluetooth is not made the same across manufacturers. I've got some headphones that work terrible for conference calls. My Bose Quiet Comfort 35s, I use on all my conference calls, and they work fantastic.
I love Bose stuff. I'll tell you what, though, since we're on the topic, I picked up a pair of AirPods, and I did it. Look, I'm in the Apple ecosystem, and I get it. I admit it. It works, and I'm happy with it. So I looked at the AirPods, and Paul, I went, oh, there's no way. But you know what? I love this idea of not having wires. All right, let me give it a try. Oh, wow. Now, you're not going to get great fidelity with them. So it's none of those
and
things.
People say they fall out.
Yeah, and I was worried about that. Hasn't happened to me. Okay. Hasn't happened to me at all. And the couple times it's cold enough, yeah, you pop them in, put the hat right over top of it. It's been perfect. You can put one in instead of both. But this is the thing I was going to point out. What Apple's doing, and they've carried it over to Beats a little bit, is they have the W1 chip, which gets you better pairing. It gets you better consistency. It gets you better quality.
People say that
I can pop those in and roam around my house. I'm fine.
People say that there's no. I watched a review in the review. The Apple AirPods came out the best in terms of not having interference or cutting out. Had the best connectivity.
I've been thoroughly impressed with them and the way that they've worked. And they work with both my phone and my iPad. I've been really happy with it. I'll tell you later that I got a pair of noise canceling headphones, and I probably should have consulted with you more. I'll tell you what, though, I'm really thrilled with them. What I did, I went down to Best Buy and I tried on the Bose, which were my front runners. I'll just tell you what I got. I tried on the Bose, I tried on the Beats, and I tried on a pair of the Sonys, the MX1000s, but the Mark IIs. Wow, crazy comfortable, fantastic. Went with the wireless ones, so gave up the W2 chip, gave up all that stuff. The Beats did not fit me well at all.
Beats are just sound quality-wise an atrocity.
I was so disappointed with every aspect of it. The fit, the way it fit my head, the way it squeezed my ears. There was no part of it that I liked.
It's a fashion statement is what they are.
Yeah, well, so then that explains why it didn't work for me. So I went with the Sonys. And it broke my heart because I expected the Bose to win and be better. But let me tell you what, since I've only had them now for 2 weeks, holy cow, right? Because look, we've been public. I've got 4 kids. There's times now when they're all here, I can pop those on and I'll put on like a little house music or something. Yeah, I can't hear anybody.
Yeah,
I can't hear a thing. The noise canceling has changed that much. And I'll tell you the 2 things that sold me on this. So if we talk about problems that we have, when I compared them all, there's this thing you can do on the Sonys. You just cup it and it opens up the mic so you can hear everything happening around you. That's awesome.
So
and
those
are
are to me, those are like life-changing features, right? When I read this pitch, there was nothing life-changing.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
How are you gonna make my life better?
It's since I recently got 2 sets of wireless, the AirPods I can stick them in my pocket. To your point, it's cold outside. I pull my hat down. They're easy to transport around. They're good enough. I've actually tested them. They're good enough in an airplane. Not great, but I've watched a movie with just the AirPods. Not my first choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the noise canceling. I can control from the right hand side, or I can cup over it. And the other thing is people look at it and they go, "Whoa, Dad's working. Okay, we'll leave him alone." So yeah, it was interesting because I like that they tried. I like that they reached it out. It was an unsolicited pitch. Those are always going to be tough because you're basically just shotgunning it out there. But I don't think that they did a very good job at defining the problem. We clearly don't have it. And then, as you've pointed out, they used a lot of subjective language, like too much subjective language. And really, then all they're really saying is, this is good for winter. Well, how much money am I going to spend for a pair of headphones just for winter?
I thought their price point,
for the same price, I could get something that works all year.
Yeah, I think their price point was too high. I think a better problem statement would be
price is too high.
Yeah, well, I think their problem statement would be better to talk about the market. If you were to be someone who wanted something stylish, they would keep you warm. And oh, by the way, like we can put some really good quality music wirelessly. Because I think that their problem should be you want to stay warm and be fashionable. That's the problem they should solve with this product. I think that the quality of the music and the connectivity should be a secondary thing. Like, oh, great, that's an extra benefit. Awesome.
Yeah.
But they should really be solving hey, these really do a great job of keeping you warm and keeping you pretty stylish, right? And maybe have some interchangeable things so you can change out colors. That'd be my recommendation to them.
And so then maybe instead of the run, talk about your commute. And in the cities, waiting for the train or taking the bus or walking from the bus station. I'm thinking back of my time in the city, but yeah. So it's interesting, and I don't think we harmed anybody in this.
No.
But these are the types of pitches. When I was writing actively for CSO, I think I took on average about 100 pitches a year, and people would be shocked at how frequently we gloss over the problem. We gloss over the consequences of the problem. And then, the solution is, I haven't defined this problem, but trust me, it's there. And consequences, it's just bad, right? Wink, wink. But I'm the solution. Nope. And you'll see in the coming year, folks, we're going to do a much better job of breaking that down for people. And we're looking at some ways, too, to help you in the enterprise think about some of those questions differently, not just when you're working with the vendors, because I'm happy to apply pressure there, but also when you're trying to get some space to get off that cycle of reaction, or you're trying to help get some of your influence, we'll show you how the same things will work for you. So
I'd be very interested if this company that we talked about with the headphones were to go on Shark Tank, and how similar or how different the feedback would be from the sharks. Because sometimes I felt like I was channeling the sharks from the Shark Tank show when we were analyzing this pitch. And I'm actually genuinely curious to see if someone would invest, or if they would all pretty much have the same opinion, that we did about their problem statement and their point of view.
Let me throw something out to our audience too, Paul. And this just came to me. If this was helpful to you, let us know, because one of the things we're going to do in the coming year, you're going to see some changes, good stuff to this program. We're going to stay true to everything we've done, expand that out a little bit, and we could do segments like this. Like in my head, it's a breakdown, not harmful to people. So we can either take stuff that's unsolicited, or you can take stuff that was unsolicited, send it to us, and say, guys, I want your take on this. Just like you do. Like I just got a request yesterday, Paul. Somebody wants our take on some stuff around DNS tunneling. I'll forward that out to the group and get some stuff on that. And we try to be really good about answering those types of questions. But if you're enjoying these types of breakdowns and these types of things, looking at this and us deconstructing it and being part of that thought process, shoot us a note. Let us know that that's helpful to you, and I can promise you we'll do more. And again, the idea is not to harm anybody. We didn't want to hurt anybody. It was just, as we were bantering, we were like, here's the last part that kind of triggered it. So then they sent a follow-up message that was like, well, since I haven't heard from you, I had it somewhere, but it was essentially like, you guys are jerks and you didn't get back to me, and so fine, I'll just take you off my list. Folks, that's a horrible way to do it.
Not good.
There are better ways to do something, but here's the thing to keep in mind in this: they hadn't earned any permission. They hadn't earned permission. It was an unsolicited pitch. It doesn't understand our target market, didn't understand what we do as a network or a platform, and then got kind of testy that we didn't respond back.
Well, what's interesting, though, is, targeting a podcaster with a headphone product is interesting, because as we do podcasts, as I've said in my own experience, right, like I have to mess around with a lot of headphones for a lot of different experiences. Our audience probably uses headphones too. If you're listening to this as a podcast, which most of our audience does,
Fair point.
A good percentage of our audience is using headphones as well. I think that was their thinking, and then one of the reasons I wanted to cover it is Michael and I gave you some recommendations for headphones in there, as most of you are podcast listeners. So if you want more of that, let us know. Maybe we can do a couple of one-off things,
segments.
On our YouTube channel or something, and talk about some of our favorites. And make recommendations for listening to podcasts and which headphones. I like the Bose Quiet Comfort 35s. Bose Quiet Comfort 35s, not the best sound quality, functionality, and noise canceling is second to none. And comfort, like all those things. Sound quality is good. Yep. It's not horrible, but it's not the best it could be. But all the other things like comfort and connectivity and noise canceling, I think are awesome. So that'd be my suggestion. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's do this, Michael. Let's take a short break, and we'll come back and talk about some startup articles and some startup announcements.